I was driving home late at night, taking the long, dark road that cut through the woods. It wasn't the first time I'd taken this route, but something about that night felt different. The trees seemed taller, denser, leaning in closer as if they were listening. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds, and my headlights barely cut through the fog rolling across the pavement. The silence in my car was suffocating. I had my phone plugged into the speakers, but for some reason the music wouldn't play. No matter how many times I pressed the button, the screen just flickered and froze. Even the radio only produced a soft, static hum. I turned it off, gripping the wheel tighter as the road stretched endlessly ahead. Then that feeling crept over me, a weight in the air, like I wasn't alone. I glanced in my rearview mirror. Nothing. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling. My hands tightened on the wheel, and I told myself it was just paranoia, but then something shifted in the mirror. A flicker of movement. My breath caught in my throat. There, in the back seat, was a figure. A woman. She sat perfectly still, her head tilted slightly to the side. Her long, dark hair fell over her face, obscuring her features. She wasn't there a second ago. I would have seen her. My mind raced. I didn't hear the doors open. I didn't hear anything. I kept driving, my pulse hammering in my ears. I wanted to pull over, to jump out of the car, but fear kept me frozen. She didn't move, didn't breathe. I focused on the road ahead, gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. I could see her in my peripheral vision, still staring, still silent. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "You took the wrong road." A chill ran down my spine. I didn't respond. My throat felt like it had closed up. She leaned forward slightly. I could feel her breath on the back of my neck. "You shouldn't be here." I finally forced myself to speak. My voice was hoarse, shaking. "Who are you?" Silence. Then slowly she lifted her head. I saw her reflection in the mirror. Her face was wrong, her eyes black voids, deep and endless. Her mouth twisted into an unnatural grin that stretched too far. A sharp, distorted laugh echoed in my ears, and suddenly the car swerved. My hands jerked the wheel, struggling to regain control. The tires screeched, the headlights flickering against the trees, and then she was gone. The seat behind me was empty. The only sound was my own ragged breathing. I didn't stop driving until I reached my house. I stumbled out of the car, heart pounding, scanning the back seat, the road, the trees. Nothing. But just as I unlocked my front door, I heard a whisper, right behind me. "You still took the wrong road." I turned, and the world went dark. When I woke up, I was still in my car. The engine was off. The dashboard clock was frozen at 3:15 a.m. Outside, the woods were eerily silent. Not even the sound of crickets, just an unnatural, suffocating stillness. I tried to move, but my body felt sluggish, like I was waking from a deep sleep. Slowly, I turned to check the back seat. Empty. Had I imagined it? A hallucination brought on by exhaustion? I reached for my phone. The screen was cracked. When did that happen? The battery was dead. Taking a deep breath, I tried the ignition. The car roared to life. Relief washed over me. I just needed to get home. I put the car in gear and started driving again. But something was wrong. The road didn't look the same. The trees were taller, darker, their branches twisted unnaturally, stretching toward the sky like skeletal fingers. The fog was thicker, swirling like it was alive. I kept driving, my heart pounding in my chest. I had to be close to home. I had to be. Then I saw her, standing in the middle of the road, the woman from my back seat. Her head was tilted at that unnatural angle, her long hair hiding her face. I slammed on the brakes, my tires screeching as the car skidded to a stop inches from her. She didn't move. I honked the horn. Nothing. My breath came in short gasps. I couldn't just sit there. I had to go around her. Slowly, I inched the car forward, turning the wheel slightly to avoid her. As I passed, she lifted her head. Her mouth opened wide. Too wide. A silent scream. Her black eyes locked onto mine. The world spun. I wasn't in my car anymore. I was standing in the woods. My breath came in ragged gasps as I looked around. My car was gone. The road was gone. Just towering trees and endless darkness. Then a voice behind me. "You still took the wrong road." I turned, but there was nothing. Just the rustling of the wind through the trees. Or was that whispering? A shape moved in the shadows, just out of reach of my vision. My pulse pounded in my ears. I stumbled backward, my foot catching on something. I I fell hard, the air knocked from my lungs. The whispering grew louder, surrounding me, laughing, taunting. Then I saw it, a figure emerging from the darkness, its limbs too long, its face stretching and twisting into something inhuman. The woman's voice echoed all around me, distorted, unnatural. "You shouldn't have come here." I scrambled to my feet, running blindly into the woods. The branches tore at my clothes, the ground uneven beneath my feet. The whispers followed, growing louder, turning into shrill laughter. And then, a road. I burst through the trees, my heart nearly stopping as I recognized it. My car was there, the door still open. Without thinking, I dove inside, slamming the door shut and locking it. The whispers stopped. Silence. I fumbled for the keys, my hands shaking as I turned the ignition. The engine roared to life. I didn't look back. I drove, my hands gripping the wheel, my eyes locked on the road ahead. And then my house. I had made it. Somehow. I stumbled inside, locking the door behind me. The house was silent, just as I had left it. I let out a shaky breath, running a hand through my hair. It was over, or so I thought. Because as I turned toward the hallway mirror, I saw it. The woman, standing behind me, her black eyes staring into mine. And in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "You never left." Then everything went dark.